Right, so welcome. If you're watching this, you are going to want to know how to build one of these Slappy Pyramids that we supply. This is the 6-foot Slappy Pyramid. The principle for the 6-foot and the 8-foot are exactly the same, in which I'll explain to you later, but it's got a bit in the middle. With the 4-foot, there is no bit in the middle, but the principle and the technique is exactly the same. So, this is what comes in your kit, and I'll talk you through it. Over here, you've got 2 coping clamping things. You've got 3 profiles. You can see that that forms the shape of your grinding pyramid. You've got your coping, and then you've got 2 of these, which are your slappy panels. We have screws. We've got 4 washers and 2 nuts. Why 4 washers? Because you might, because of life, lose 2. So we've got an extra couple in there just in case you do lose them. 2 nuts, 2 of these, which are 2mm packers, which I will explain later. The only thing that you're going to need is either a combi drill or an impact driver and a number 17 spanner or socket, and that's it. Easy, simple. Let's get building. The first thing that we do is get some screws. Now, if you come here, you'll notice that every single bit of wood that we supply has got holes pre-drilled into it. You don't need a tape measure. You don't need a tape measure. You don't need...
So that's what these are, these holes are all pre-drilled, right?
All of these holes are pre-drilled. We've literally done all of the thinking for you. So, wherever there's a hole, there's a screw. And where there's a will, there's a way. So this is what I do, this is my preferred technique, because sometimes, especially with the bigger ramps, it can be a bit fiddly. So, we're gonna put the screw in and we're just gonna wait until this lifts up off, just there. You can see.
Okay, so just till it pokes through a little tiny bit.
Just till it pokes through, and I'm gonna use that to locate the holes of the profiles. So I'm going to do this on both sides of one of the pieces. You can see I'm just going to screw down and it's just lifted up. Just lifted up. Now, let's just see if I can show you what I mean there.
Ah.
So you can see these screws are poking through now.
Just the little tips of the screws, yeah.
When we come to rest that onto the profile, those are going to fall into the holes. So I'm just going to lean that one on there, and then I'm going to get another one and put it under here, just to support the weight. Now, these little babies are your extra pair of hands, because these panels actually don't fit or sit flush on the ground that you're going to be using it. So we're just going to lift that up and put that under there. The reason these are off the ground is because if they were on the ground, they might be prone to chipping, and you don't want that. So come with me to this side, and you'll see I've just put my packer underneath there. Now what I'm going to do is use that screw. Can you see in there?
Yep.
And it's just going to...
Just into that pilot hole.
Just into that pilot hole. And I'm only going to screw it in a little way. And then I'm going to do the same as this on the other end, and then I can literally have my hands free to help. So, checking that that screw is poking through. I'm going to lift up the side and just locate the screws, and you'll see that they will all locate. But I'm just going to concentrate on this top one. So I'm just going to tighten up the top screws, and then if you come around here, you'll see that I'm going to locate the other screws into the holes that I've already drilled. It'll be really, really good just to check that everything is flush and in line. I like to grip it like this, and then send one in. Now, when we screw these properly, we're going to want the heads of the screws to be just below the surface. Anything above, and it will probably affect your ride. So there you can see. How perfect is that?
Very nice.
Yeah. So I'm going to do the same the other end. So yeah. So there we go.
Nice.
That's one side.
So what's next?
Next we're going to do the coping. I'm going to come around the front of the bench and explain everything to you. I'm going to need 2 nuts, 2 washers, and the spanner. So, again, we've done everything for you. This bar that's sticking out the bottom of the coping, we get this triangular piece and sit it on. 1 washer, 1 nut. And we're going to do the same on this side. One washer, 1 nut. So now I'm going to tighten these up with my ratchet spanner, and what we're looking for is to tighten it almost all the way, but we want just a little bit of movement here. So
just leave that a little bit loose, yeah?
yeah, I mean, for me,
so a tiny bit of a wobble on it.
tiny little bit of a wobble there. So yeah, I'm going to go and do the other one. Let's have a look. Always check, don't go too far, and that's just about perfect. I might just
A little bit more.
little bit of a tweak. And there we go. So now I'm going to go to the other side. So I almost forgot that because this is a 6 foot, it's got a 3rd profile, and it's the same for the 8 foot. If you bought the 4 foot one, you only have 2 and you don't have a center profile. So at this stage, if you've got the 4 foot one, you go to fitting the coping. But because we've got the 6 foot, I need to put the center profile in. Again, the technique is the same. Get your screws. So
just so the tips poke through.
just so the chips. You can use your fingers to feel it, but from experience, that only ends badly. So there we go. Same for the 3rd. There we go. Now, I'm just going to tilt that towards me. Find the screw holes. It's fairly. We've literally
Line it
done
up.
everything for you, and I'm just going to zap that in. Double checking before you screw it home. Zap that in. And now you can lean it down, and then just check that that's tight. So. Okay. Now, the fun bit, the coping. You're going to grab this, lift it up, work on the curls, and then the way that I've found is the best is you just lay it down gently. Now you'll see that the coping sits in these perfect little
Ooh, a little CNC recess.
semicircles for the exact diameter of the coping. Now, there you go. The next process is to just roll it towards you. You hear that? Keep it there, because that means that these faces are now hitting against here. So in, double check the ends, and then we're going to do exactly the same as we did on this panel with this one here. But I'm going to come round and do that. I could do it back to front, but I think I'm going to come round. It is important. I don't know if this is a lesson in life as well as ramp building, to give yourself as much room as possible.
So you've got to get this piece of wood the right way up or any way round?
Absolutely you do. So, with everything that we provide, with any panels, you'll see, if you open it,
oh, top.
We have the top.
Somebody's marked it.
I did. So that top signifies that it's towards the top of whatever kit you've bought. So, I'm going to turn this around. And then I'm going to do that little screw technique until the tips poke through. There we go. Three screws left for this side. I'm confident that these are going to fit, so again, same thing as before. Let me just move this closer to me. Making sure that's there. So I'm now just going to get these screw holes lined up. Perfect. screw the first one in, go around to the other side, put that little fella under there, and then eye these screws in. You get a really good view from the side. Perfect. And you can see here. So I'm just going to put that one in and then go back to the other side to screw those 3 in there. Just checking the screws, happy with that. So now I send them all home. Excuse the noise. Lovely job. Same again on the other side. Now the sides are done and this middle bit's done, we want to go down the centre here and then we're going to concentrate on the coping clamping blocks on either side, and then what that's going to do is really bring this slappy panel nice and tight up to the coping. So here we go. Are you watching this? Perfect, lovely. So I'm going to get those 3 in. Again, being careful not to wind the screws in too much. Done. So now we've got 8 more screws to go, and then we're going to turn it over, tighten up the clamping blocks, and then you're ready to shred. This is switch, by the way. Okay, 2 more on this side.
So these go straight into the...
Straight in. Honestly, where there's a hole, there's a screw. Simple as that. You see it just pulling. It actually
pulls it in nice.
doesn't get much better than that, I'm afraid. So. Two more this side. Two more this side. Oh, so good. Right. We're going to turn it over. Yeah. Do you remember these that we left loose?
Yeah. Time to tighten the bolt.
Time to tighten. They're nuts. So. Okay, it's starting to get a bit of resistance now, and I don't want to over tighten it, but that's when I'm starting to use quite a lot of force. I'm just going to leave it at that. Yeah, I'm happy with that. There you go. There you have it. Ta-da!
So that's finished.
That is a 6-foot Slappy Pyramid that is ready to shred.